work FIFO in Australia means to live in the city and work fly in, fly out at some remote, fly-infested dust pit location deep in the outback. After travelling in South America for a few years, I washed up in Western Australia where I had a mate from NZ who was already working FIFO and scaffolding out in the mines. He helped me up a job, so I went out there scaffolding for several years, flying to Bali on my time off. This video is my attempt to describe the lifestyle of a FIFO worker, living in Bali and working in the mines. The Pilbara region in northern WA is one of the major mining areas. At dozens of mine sites, giant machines dig up hundreds of millions of tonnes of iron ore and load it onto 3-kilometre long trains which head off to the port facilities on the coast. The job to keep these machines running is carried out by an army of FIFO workers. The workday starts at either 6 AM or 6 PM and is a 12-hour shift of getting cooked alive in the blazing heat while choking on dust and swatting at flies at one of the wretched mine sites. Soon after I started, I found out the Aussies take the piss out of the Kiwis for all coming over to be scaffolders. The typical joke goes that the only reason the Kiwis haven't made it to the moon is because we couldn't find enough scaffold tubes. These mines in the far north are closer to Indonesia than the major Australian cities. That fact makes the toiling there all worth it. When flyout day arrives, you jump back on a plane and jet off to Bali, pockets full, ready to wash away the dust at a waterfall and sink some ice-cold bintangs in the cool island climate of only 30 degrees, down from the merciless 45 degree plus the Australian desert. The island of Bali is close to the image that is conjured up if you say tropical paradise. Volcanoes that jut up out of the clear blue ocean are encompassed by a ring of coral reefs. Pristine rivers cascade down the jungle-clad slopes and into the ancient terrace rice fields in the lands below. This is a lifestyle of constant movement. Catching a plane to another country becomes as regular as catching a bus to another suburb. One day you're getting roasted alive while coughing up flies and dust at one mine, the next you're on a plane jetting off to yet another mine site or back to Bali for R&R. The following day you're off on your motorbike, riding over the Batur volcano to catch up with some friends who flew back in a few days earlier and are now freediving at a World War II wreck up in Tullumben. After diving on the wreck, it's back on the bikes, heading off to some rice fields where the farmer said it was okay to surf tow behind a motorbike, then searching for some new waterfalls that might be good for cliff jumping.
Oh, she's my rain in the desert, she's my sun in the storm, she's my food when I'm hungry, she's my rose amongst the thorns. She's my glue when I'm broken, she's my warmth when I'm cold, she's my breath when I'm choking, she's my fire when I'm sold. But I want cream in my coffee, I want springs in my step, I want gin in my tonic, and I want all that I can get. I want freedom as I run, and I want wind in my fire, and I want bullets in my gun to do whatever I desire.
A good way to find unknown swimming spots is to ride around and flex your Indonesian language skills by asking local people where they are. Failing that, asking one of your Indo friends to do it for you. And then, after a day of finding waterfalls and swimming, heading off to a lake to camp for the night.
When I saw her there with a flower in her hair amongst the roses. Yes, she struck me dumb, made me scared, made me run from her loving. Cause I didn't understand the power in her hands as they touched me, as they touched me. I got hypnotized by her voice and her eyes. Oh babe, I'm yours. Oh babe, I'm yours.
Part of living in Bali are the Balinese villas. Thanks to the island climate, The Bali villas are open air and tend to be set in a walled-off tropical garden with a swimming pool. I rented a villa in Seminyak a few months after I started in the mines. Not far from the airport, it became an epicenter of the FIFO lifestyle. People were always coming and going, flying in, partying, freediving, surfing, climbing volcanoes, cliff jumping at waterfalls, and then flying out to some other country. And then a few weeks later, flying back for some more. FIFO workers from Australia, digital nomads from London, friends from Spain, Algeria or other parts of Indonesia, all catching planes just like buses in a city.
When I saw her there with a flower in her hair amongst the roses, yes, she struck me dumb, made me scared, made me run from her loving, Cause I didn't understand the power in her hands as they touched me, I got hypnotized by her voice and her eyes. Oh babe, I'm yours. Oh babe, I'm yours.
A staple of life as a foreigner living in Bali is the visa run. Occasionally even FIFO workers have to do them. Normally the run involves nipping off to Singapore or KL for a few days and returning to get a new visa. While looking at the map, I spotted a more interesting route for a visa run. It looked like you could fly over to East Timor, then island hop back to Bali via the islands of Flores, Sumbawa and Lombok. So I jumped on a plane and jetted off over to Timor. But while I was in the country, I ran into some Australian FIFO workers who were taking a yacht back across the Timor Sea to the Northern Territory. They were working on the offshore oil and gas projects and the undersea pipelines and would fly back out from Darwin. So I hitched a ride with them and changed the plan to head back to the mines, flying out from Darwin instead. As we passed around the east cape of Timor, we dropped anchor at some remote islands and did some freediving.
Still shows, so for now I guess I'm getting me another one. So all I ever did was waste my time. So I'm on my horse, but I'm feeling fine. The time goes, but the memory still shows. So for now I guess I'm getting me another one. So it seems.
The Australian Navy tailed us the last 2 days as we crossed the ocean and accused us of smuggling illegal immigrants. But once we were in Darwin it was all good, and I jumped back on another plane, off to the Pilbara again for another few weeks in the mines. While I was out there, a mate from Spain flew out from Bali back to Barcelona. He suggested I head over there and we climbed some peaks in the Pyrenees, so at the end of the swing I skipped off over to Spain. One of the perks of working FIFO is reaching the top of the frequent flyer tiers, then catching looks of dismay from guys in suits as a grubby miner in overalls sails past them into the first class lounge.
And all I ever did was waste my time. Shot on my horse, but I'm feeling fine. The time goes, but the memory still shows. So for now I guess I'm getting me another one. So all I ever did was waste my time. Shot on my horse, but I'm feeling fine. The time goes, but the memory still shows. So for now I guess I'm getting me another one. So it seems.
This is the benefit of the FIFO lifestyle, the freedom you get after you fly out, with plenty of time off and well compensated from the time you spend in the mines. Bali is a magnet for people with this way of living. Whether they be FIFO workers or digital nomads writing code on their computers, everyone is flying here flying there, flying back to Bali, then off to Spain or Korea to catch up with someone else. Flying around the world is just like catching buses in a city.
Did was waste my time. Shot on my Porsche, but I'm feeling fine. The time goes, but the memory still shows. So for now, I guess I'm getting me another one. So all I ever did was waste my time. Shot on my Porsche, but I'm feeling fine. The time goes, but the memory still shows. So for now, I guess I'm getting me another one. So
There is an entire industry of FIFO workers who live in Bali and work in the mines. The trouble with this lifestyle is that you always have to return to the god-forsaken mines, where it's 45 degrees in the shade and you're breathing in clouds of dust, while doing continual battle against the Australian flies, which are determined to crawl into your eyes and mouth. A large part of working in the mines is filling out obsessive health and safety paperwork. The machines get shut down for maintenance, and there are lockout procedures to try and ensure they don't get turned on while guys are working in them. If they do, they'll get pulled through and ripped apart. This has happened. In addition to the gruesome accidents, there can also be harmful contaminants in the dust you breathe in, and this can put guys working out there at a greater risk of developing respiratory illness. Because the work shift is 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, that means you have to do all your living on your time off. So you count down the days to fly out day. Then all of a sudden you're back on another plane, and you're waking up the next day back in Bali.
Hay personas gordas, medianas y flacas, caballos, gallinas, ovejas y vacas. Hay muchos animales con mucha gente, personas cuerdas y locos de mente. En el mundo hay mentiras y falsedades, hechos, verdades y casualidades. Hay mentalidades horizontales, verticales y diagonales. Derrotas y fracasos accidentales, medallas, trofeos y copas mundiales. En el mundo hay vitaminas y proteínas, marihuana, éxtasis y cocaína. Hay árboles, ramas, hojas y flores. Hay muchas montañas de colores. En el mundo hay decisiones divididas, entradas, salidas, debut, despedidas. Hay inocentes, hay homicidas. Hay muchas bocas y poca comida. Hay gobernantes y presidentes. Hay agua fría y agua caliente. En el mundo hay micrófonos y altoparlantes. Hay 6.000 millones de habitantes. Hay gente ordinaria y gente elegante. Pero no hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú, mi amor. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú, mi amor. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú, mi amor. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú, mi amor. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú. No hay nadie como tú, mi amor. No hay nadie como tú.
After crisscrossing every inch of Bali by motorbike and discovering all sorts of hidden nooks and crannies, another option while you're on your time off is to jump on a plane and explore the backwater islands of Indonesia, such as Sulawesi. Bali makes a good home base to explore the outer Indonesian islands, and I went over to Sulawesi several times. Some of the outer islands can feel like getting into a time capsule. People here follow traditional customs and are astounded to see a foreign face. A decent grip of the Indonesian language is necessary to be able to get around successfully in these regions. Occasionally, I would meet some older people who didn't even speak Indonesian, only their own language, one of more than 100 different languages that are spoken on the island. After a few weeks in Sulawesi, the novelty of the local food wears thin, and it's always good to get back to the creature comforts of Bali, with its international cuisine, people from all over the world, and pumping nightlife. In Bali, the thermometer hovers around 30 degrees day and night all year round. You never need to wear anything more than t-shirt, shorts and jandals. So life revolves around water, swimming, surfing, freediving, or even riding a motorbike through a torrential rainstorm. It never gets cold. The unbounded freedom of your time off is contrasted with the lack of it when you return. Eventually it feels like you're stuck out there in prison, trading your life for money. At the start of one shift meeting, a supervisor called Bones asked everyone to evaluate which decisions they had taken in their lives that had led them to working 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week at a mine site out in the Pilbara. I knew it was time for me to move on. So when an opportunity to go back to New Zealand came up, I went for it, and switched from getting cooked alive in the Australian outback to frozen and rain-drenched in New Zealand's West Coast wilderness. The video of that job was selected for the 2020 New Zealand Mountain Film Festival, and can be seen by clicking the card on the screen or the link in the description below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Otherwise, please consider giving this video a share, a like or subscribe. Cheers.